Welcome to reality. You're now on the Code of Mind channel. Let's start not with mysticism, not with conspiracy theories, and not even with terms, but with a feeling that is familiar to almost everyone. Have you ever caught yourself having a strange thought? You seem to have slept, you seem to have eaten, nothing terrible seems to have happened, but you still have no strength. Not the kind of tiredness you can explain by lack of sleep, and not laziness, but a feeling as if you were slowly taken apart piece by piece. As if you lived through a day and someone quietly removed part of your resource. As if there is a button in the system that says minus 30% energy, and someone pressed it without your consent. And the strangest thing is that you can't even remember the exact moment when it happened. They tell you it's stress, it's age, it's the way you live, pull yourself together. But honestly, these explanations sound worse and worse, because everyone is tired, at the same time, all over the world. People from different countries, cultures, professions say the same thing. I feel empty. And here an uncomfortable question arises, one that people usually try not to ask. What if this is not accidental? What if this system doesn't just fail to support you, but actually uses you? In the West, there is a term for this. Louche energy. Roughly speaking, it is emotional energy that is released when a person suffers, fears, gets angry, loses, hopes, and loses again. There is a theory that nobody likes to say out loud. Earth is not a home. Earth is a farm. It's important to say this right away. Louche is not a fairy tale for the impressionable. And it's not a religion. And it's not another esoteric bait. This term did not come from the internet. It was popularized by Robert Monroe, a man who spent decades studying consciousness, altered states, and how humans interact with reality outside the body. Monroe described louche as a valuable energetic product that humans emit during moments of strong emotions. And here's the key point. The system does not care what kind of emotions these are. Fear, pain, grief, rage, guilt, despair, even overly strong joy. Only one thing matters: intensity. From the system's point of view, a calm person is useless. He doesn't twitch, doesn't react to every stimulus, doesn't emit spikes. He feeds poorly. But a person who is constantly tense inside, worried, looping thoughts, afraid of the future, living in expectation of a blow, that is an ideal source. And then the question sounds different. Why is the world arranged in such a way that it is almost impossible for you to remain calm for long? Pay attention to one detail that is rarely noticed. In this system, happiness is always conditional. You are allowed to be happy, but only if you follow the rules. When you earn, lose weight, achieve, prove, become enough. But just being is not allowed. As soon as a person becomes calm, satisfied, non-reactive, he drops out of circulation. He buys less, fears less, is harder to control. Now look at the world not as chaos, but as a mechanism. News constantly keeps you in anxiety. Social networks force you to compare yourself to others. Loans create a sense of lack. Relationships turn into emotional swings. Work becomes a source of burnout. This is not an accident. It is a perfectly built environment in which a person is almost always in a state of internal tension. And the most refined part is this. The stronger you react, the more the system convinces you that you are living a full life, while in fact you are feeding it. Now it becomes clearer why there is so much drama in this reality. Scandals, conflicts, divorces, toxic relationships, public humiliations. All of this is presented as the norm of life, because drama is the perfect way to extract the maximum amount of energy from a person in a short time. When you are in conflict, you do not observe, you react. When you are hysterical, you are completely open. When you are in constant emotional swings, you can be drained endlessly. That's why such states are not treated deeply. They are serviced. Alcohol, series, endless feeds, pseudopsychology without an exit. All of this does not solve the problem. It maintains the cycle. A person remains alive, but empty. And for the farm, that is enough. Alcohol, illegal substances, overeating, addiction to series, endless scrolling, emotional breakdowns. This is called relaxation, rest, a way to relieve stress. But if you have ever been inside this, you know, afterward it doesn't get easier, it gets empty. Alcohol, for example, works very simply. It turns off the observer, the part of you that can stop, notice, and not get hooked. When the observer is turned off, you are open, you react more easily, you experience more strongly, you drain energy faster. And that is exactly why alcohol is socially allowed, advertised, romanticized, because a person in an altered state is an ideal donor. The same applies to constant scandals, toxic relationships, emotional swings. These are not failures in love. They are extraction mode. The more you are inside drama, the less you are inside yourself. When people hear the word farm, they immediately imagine something external. Entities, reptilians, dark gods. But the truth may be far less cinematic and far more unpleasant. The farm can be structural, egregores, social systems, informational fields, collective emotions. They do not need your body. They do not need your death. They need your constant emotional response. Fear feeds fear. Anger feeds anger. Anxiety feeds anxiety. These are closed loops. And when millions of people simultaneously experience the same thing, a powerful field arises. That is why the news is almost always negative. Crises are presented as endless. Hope is always postponed. Calmness is mocked as naivety. Because a calm person breaks the loop, he stops being convenient. The farm is the architecture of the environment. In this model, Earth is neither a prison nor hell. It is a bioenergetic platform where human consciousness is used as an energy generator. Not the body, not blood, not organs. It is consciousness and emotion that feeds the farm. The farm is not fed by suffering itself. It is fed by emotion held over time. A brief fright is almost useless. A momentary burst of anger has little value. What is valuable is something else. Prolonged anxiety, constant guilt, chronic fear of the future, unresolved resentment, the expectation of a blow, hope that never materializes. This creates a stable energetic emission. You can imagine it like this. Human consciousness is an antenna, emotion is tension. Prolonged tension is a stable flow. It is stability that makes the resource valuable. Why humans specifically? Animals do not fit. They lack complex reflection. They do not replay the past and the future. A human is ideal because they remember, they predict, they imagine, they are capable of suffering without a real event. A human can fear what has not yet happened and relive what ended long ago. From the system's point of view, this is an autonomous generator. The mechanism is always the same. 1. A stimulus, information, an event, a thought, a memory. 2. Interpretation. Consciousness assigns meaning, danger, threat. I am not loved. I won't cope. 3. Emotional reaction. The body tenses, breathing shifts, emotion arises. 4. Looping. The thought returns, the emotion is maintained, the state is fixed. 5. Emission. Consciousness enters a mode of constant signal. The farm no longer intervenes. The person maintains the flow themselves. In this model, Earth is an ideal environment for generating loosh because the dense body creates a sense of vulnerability. Time creates fear of loss. Memory creates pain. Imagination creates threats. And social structures amplify comparison. This is not a design flaw. These are optimal conditions. The environment does not press directly. It stimulates. Energy is not sucked out like in movies. It resonates. Emotional fields of humans enter resonance with larger fields, egregorial, informational, systemic. The farm is not a collector, it is a resonator. The closer the frequency match, the stronger the flow. The mechanism breaks in one place, at the stage of interpretation. If a stimulus exists but meaning is not assigned, the reaction does not launch. If the reaction does not launch, there is no emission. That is why awareness is dangerous, observation is destructive, and an inner center is a threat to the system. But on a mass scale, this is difficult because the environment constantly accelerates, distracts, and overloads. A person does not have time to notice the moment of activation. Today, awareness is often sold as a pretty word, meditation as an accessory, breathing as a trend, be in the moment as a slogan. But real awareness is very uncomfortable, because an aware person notices when they are being provoked, feels where energy is being pulled from them, and stops reacting automatically. They can be in a difficult situation and not feed it. And this is exactly what is dangerous for the farm, because loosh is released only when you are involved. When you observe, there is no release. That is why awareness is either mocked or turned into an empty form, or made into an unattainable ideal. Real awareness is not light and love. It is the ability not to give yourself away. It is important to understand the main thing. Leaving the farm is not an escape. You do not need to run into the forest, quit your job, or fight the system. The farm breaks not through resistance, but through the absence of feed. Fewer reactions, less automatism, less inner drama, more observation, more pauses, more presence. You continue to live in this world, but you no longer engage with everything indiscriminately. And at some point, something strange happens. Reality begins to lose access to you. It becomes harder to hook you, harder to provoke you, harder to use you. You do not disappear. You return to yourself. And then it becomes clear. The farm exists exactly as long as you participate in it. As soon as you stop being a battery, the game changes for you. Pay attention to one thing that is rarely discussed seriously. Children today get tired the same way adults do, sometimes even more. They have not yet been given loans, not yet loaded with obligations, but they already have anxiety, apathy, distractibility, sharp mood swings. Because children have not yet learned to mute sensations with explanations, they feel directly. And that is precisely why the system tries to distract, overwhelm, and redirect attention as early as possible. Now look at how mass events are presented. It does not matter what exactly happens. What matters is how it is packaged, always through fear, outrage, division, a sense of threat. Even good news is often delivered through anxiety. Before it's too late, you must hurry. If not now, it will be worse later. This creates a single emotional background, synchronized. And synchronized emotions of millions of people are an enormous energy release. If truth were banned directly, it would become noticeable. That is why it is not banned. It is drowned in flow, in noise, in endless versions. When there is too much information, a person stops feeling and starts comparing. And comparison is again a loss of contact with oneself. Truth is quiet. It does not shout. It does not demand reaction. That is why it spreads poorly in an environment where only emotional spikes are valued. For the farm, deception is not the most profitable thing. Loss of focus is. At some point, if a person truly reduces leakage, something strange happens. The world seems to become quieter. Fewer triggers, fewer hooks, less need to react. Not because the world changed, but because you stopped giving energy to every stimulus. This is not enlightenment. This is resource return. You begin to feel fatigue differently, to hear the body earlier, to notice where you are being shaken, and from that moment, you stop being convenient. Not for people, for the system. And that is the quietest, most effective exit from the farm. Thank you for being with me on this channel. I wish you the best possible branch of reality. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Take care.